Embark on China's Great Leap, Racing America. Exploration of one of today's most pivotal rivalries. The title recalls Mao Zedong's 1958 Great Leap Forward, a daring, state-driven effort for swift industrialization that ended in disaster. Yet, in 2025, it's reframed as China's strategic dash toward technological and economic dominance, testing America's post-war supremacy. This isn't about starvation or setbacks, it's about innovation, investment, and global sway. From Shenzhen's AI hubs to Shanghai's electric vehicle plants, China is narrowing gaps, excelling in critical sectors, and pushing the U.S. to face its own inertia. We'll trace the historical foundations, analyze the largely triumphant Made in China 2025 plan, highlight China's successes in EVs, AI, chips, and space exploration, profile the pioneers leading this surge, and evaluate the global implications. Get ready. This competition isn't just about tech and software. It's about who defines the 21st century. Fade in historical clips. Mao-era communes shifting to sleek high-speed trains and drone fleets. An energetic, suspenseful soundtrack heightens the mood. Imagine this. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping opens China's gates to the global stage. The Middle Kingdom, long secluded under Mao, transforms into the world's manufacturing hub. Affordable labor and vast markets, Western nations, including America, applaud outsourcing production to drive their own prosperity. By the 1990s, China's GDP surges from $150 billion to over $1 trillion. This wasn't chance, it was a deliberate plan. Enter Xi Jinping, assuming leadership in 2012. Confronting a decelerating economy and America's focus on Asia, Xi proclaims technology as the new frontier. His rallying cry, self-reliance, or Zizhu Chuangshen. No longer imitating, China must create to thrive. The 13th Five-Year Plan, 2016 to 2020, channels billions into research and development, but the centerpiece is Made in China 2025, launched in 2015. What's that? A decade-long strategy to lead in 10 advanced sectors: cutting-edge IT, robotics, aerospace, electric vehicles, biotech, and beyond. The targets: 70% local content in essential components by 2025, 40 innovation hubs, and a quality transformation to match Western brands. Detractors labeled it mercantilist, relying on subsidies, coerced tech transfers, and intellectual property theft. The U.S. imposed tariffs in 2018, sparking a trade war. But did it halt China? Not at all. By 2025, Bloomberg notes that MIC 2025 is mostly a triumph. China dominates in 5 of 13 key technologies: high-speed rail, graphene, drones, solar, and EVs, while rapidly advancing in 7 others. Under Xi's firm control, state-supported funds like the National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, 100B+, since 2014, stoke the momentum. COVID? A hurdle, yet it sped up digital shifts. E-commerce grew 25%, and AI adoption soared. Today, China's R&D spending reaches 2.5% of GDP, nearly matching the U.S.'s 3.5%. This leap isn't reckless ambition. It's a carefully orchestrated marathon planned in Beijing's corridors. Visuals. Timeline chart from Deng to Xi. Infographic of MIC 2025's key sectors. Footage of Shenzhen's skyline morphing from factories to tech hubs. Interview clip. Xi Jinping quote on revitalizing China through innovation. China's economy isn't merely expanding. It's evolving. Official 2024 GDP 5% growth to $18.4 trillion, meeting goals through Q4 stimulus, interest rate reductions, property sector rescues, and export booms. Yet skeptics like Rhodium Group estimate true growth at 2.8%, pointing to real estate troubles and deflation. Even so, exports reached $3.6 trillion. Yielding a $1 surplus, the largest since the 1990s, driven by markets outside the U.S., like Europe and Latin America. Goldman Sachs predicts 4.5% growth in 2025, moderated by Trump 2.0 tariffs, but bolstered by new stimulus. The key ingredient? A robust industrial policy. Unlike America's market-led disorder, China employs state capitalism, trillions in subsidies, sovereign wealth funds, and common prosperity to curb inequality without stifling progress. Outcome: China seizes non-OECD market share in high-tech industries, up 20% since 1995, according to ITIF. Youth unemployment? Elevated at 15%, but lying flat. Youth energize gig economies through platforms like Pinduoduo. On the global stage, China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, spreads this approach. OneCont invested across 150 nations, constructing ports, railways, and 5G networks. U.S. foreign investment? Focused on finance, China's on tech and infrastructure. By 2025, China's outbound direct investment matches the U.S. in emerging markets, per China Briefing. Challenges persist. Debt at 300% of GDP, an aging workforce. Yet, with a 1.4B consumer market, Xi's shift to dual circulation, balancing domestic demand with exports, positions China as tomorrow's green tech leader. America excels in services. China dominates manufacturing. The competition? China is gaining ground in absolute terms. Its economy now 75% of the U.S.'s size proportionally, but 139% in absolute scale. Visuals: animated GDP growth comparison for U.S./China, 1980 to 2025. BRI project map: footage of Alibaba logistics hubs and Huawei 5G towers. Quick stat overlays: China, 70% of global solar capacity. U.S., 25% of global VC funding. Now, the core of the leap. Technology. ASPI's 2025 Critical Technology Tracker. China leads in 57 of 64 areas: radar, drones, batteries, hypersonics. The U.S., only 7, such as quantum computing and vaccines. ITIF cautions: China's wave of cost-effective innovators threatens U.S. advantages. Let's dive in. Electric vehicles, batteries. 5 mins. China's EV supremacy is the flagship of MIC 2025. BYD surpasses Tesla in sales. 3M units in 2024, fueled by $100 billion in subsidies and full supply chain control. CATL holds 37% of the global battery market. China extracts 70% of lithium. Exports? 1.2M EVs to Europe and Asia, despite EU tariffs. The U.S. CHIPS Act bolsters Intel, but China's scale prevails, 60% of global EV production. Achievement: a zero-emission surge, driving BRI green initiatives. AI revolution, 7 mines. The Sputnik moment arrived January 20, 2025. DeepSeek's R1 LLM matches OpenAI's O1 at 1/100th the cost, 6 millions billions. Built on efficiency, not raw computing power, China's answer to U.S. chip restrictions. Baidu's ERNIE and Alibaba's QN excel in benchmarks. DeepSeek ranks 6th on chatbot arena. Patents? China files 2.5 times more than the U.S. in deep learning. The U.S. leads in computing power, NVIDIA's advantage, but China's vast data pool, 1B users, and 8.5B state AI fund for startups narrow the gap. RAND. Models are comparable. The U.S. edges out in deployment, but Huawei's Ascend chips? Set to triple production by 2026. Semiconductors. 5 mins. The bottleneck. The U.S. commands 90% of advanced chips through TSMC and NVIDIA, but post-2018 export bans. China's SMIC achieves 7 nanomolar for Huawei's Kirin, less efficient but functional. A $60 billion fund boosts YMTC to 10 to 15% of the memory market. Cambricon doubles its revenue. Target: 40% self-sufficiency by 2030. The U.S. CHIPS Act 52B funds new factories, but China's fabs proliferate. FT: Huawei's AI chip output triples in 2025. Space beyond 3 mins. CNSA's Tiangong station orbits. Chang'e 6 retrieves samples from the moon's far side. China leads in hypersonics, 48% of high-impact papers. Drones. DJI commands 70% of the market. Nuclear, the world's largest fleet. U.S. Artemis faces delays. China plans a lunar base by 2030. Overall, from follower to frontrunner, China holds a 56-point lead in machining per ITIF, but risks remain: overcapacity and espionage concerns. Visuals, side-by-side comparisons. BYD versus Tesla assembly lines. DeepSeek demo versus ChatGPT. SMIC cleanroom time-lapse. Rocket launches. Charts. ASPI tracker bar graph. EV market share pie. Interviews. Clips from Huawei's Zhengfei on perseverance. Behind the data, trailblazers. Xi Jinping, the mastermind, weaving AI Plus into the 14th five-year plan, 1.4T by 2030. His common prosperity reins in tech moguls while luring talent back through 1,000 talents. Zhengfei, Huawei, the founder who weathered U.S. sanctions to lead in 5G, 30% global share, and ascend AI chips. His wolf culture inspires 200K workers. Pony Ma, Tencent. WeChat's 1.3 billion users fuel AI. Tencent pumps $10 into startups. Jack Ma, Alibaba, Emeritus. E-commerce titan, now guiding through cloud AI. Liang Wenfeng, DeepSeek, R1's creator, a reserved genius leveraging open source to bypass sanctions. Xu Zichu, TikTok, Singaporeans steering ByteDance's U.S. battle, merging Eastern and Western strengths. Plus returnees, over 85 U.S.-trained scientists since 2024, per CNN. Princeton physicists, NASA engineers. China's reverse brain drain via a $10 billion quantum fund. These leaders, not solitary players, but a state-coordinated team. Visuals, montage of headshots, portraits, key quotes overlaid, clips of Xi at tech summits, Ren in discussions. Graphic, Chargers Network, mind map connecting leaders to firms. This rivalry reshapes the world. U.S. CHIPS Act, Stargate, 500 billion AI infrastructure, but grid bottlenecks and budget cuts threaten its lead. China excels in deployment, yet IP issues and tariffs, 20% U.S. increase, hinder growth. Geopolitics? BRI versus Quad. An AI arms race risks escalation, per MIT. Rogue actors could exploit unchecked models. Winners. And not a zero-sum game. Chatham House advises middle powers, India, EU, to diversify, pushing for open-source solutions. China builds soft power with affordable EVs and solar. The U.S. through alliances, yet if unchecked, China's battery dominance, high risk per ASPI, could shift alliances. 2025 forecast, China at 4.5% GDP growth, U.S. at 2.5%, but tech leans east. The leap? It's arrived. Visuals, world map highlighting influence zones, risk matrix chart, U.S. leads quantum, China batteries, dramatic footage of U.S.-China summits, tariff declarations. China's Great Leap isn't a dash, it's a relay, moving from Mao's farmlands to Xi's laboratories. America pushes back, but the gap shrinks. Can Beijing's state-driven engine outrun Silicon Valley's dynamism? Or will U.S. alliances triumph? One truth stands out. In 2025, the future isn't crafted by one nation. It's shaped through competition. Thank you for watching. What's your prediction? End credits. Sources cited in line. Produced by XAI Studios. Music fades. Total runtime 50 minutes. Pacing 100-120 WPM. Narration. Visuals transitions fill gaps.